Hi everyone, it's Ren here. Welcome to my room, guys. Before I start this video, the obligatory little bit of advertising. Just to remind you that I have written a book on the INFJ type, the Ecstatic Soul. It's available in ebook and paperback format. Look at this amazing cover. It's all very lovely. People are loving it so far. It's a look at the INFJ from the inside rather than the outside for less than $10. The most in-depth study of the type ever conducted. Consider it, and that's a way of supporting me. So in this video, I'm kind of starting a new series, which I have tentatively called a dishonest appraisal of, or a prejudiced appraisal of a particular type. And hopefully I can apply this to each type. And my first type of choice is the INTP in this particular case. Now, before I actually start with this video proper, I just want to remind you, dear INTPs, dear everyone, this is partly comedic. This is not meant to be taken seriously. I love INTPs. I am always inspired by INTPs, and most of my influences in the domain of thought and philosophy are INTPs. So now that this has been cleared, let's move to the prejudiced version of this appraisal. I have three main complaints with INTPs, and I'm intending to launch a crusade against these features that 90% of INTPs seem to display, not just online, but also in real life. And it's time that we confront them about it. Okay, we all know that INTPs are smart. We all know that INTPs are quirky. We all know that they have an interesting meme-oriented sense of humor and so on and so forth. But the first thing that I want to criticize INTPs, why do you always look so bored and unimpressed? It is so impossible to make you look like anything else than this. With a mild skepticism in your eyes, like you're judging someone, but you're not really telling them, and you're not telling them about it, not because you're concerned you might hurt their feelings, but because you're too bored about doing it, that you don't even care. And what you don't notice is that perhaps an INFJ like myself is going to pick this up and is going to get very upset in his little feelings. Another negative aspect of it is that this probably hurts your ability to be charismatic, because an essential ingredient of being charismatic is that of being able to appeal emotionally to other people, and INTPs are about as opposite to that as you can imagine. I'm not asking INTPs to become what they are not, because they would fall into pits of existential despair. I'm only making an irrational complaint because it bothers me sometimes. The second trait that, oh my God, sometimes when I'm dealing with INTPs, I'm like, can this human being please just like launch the update so that they can move on to the next version? Is that they are subtly very stubborn. You know, on the surface, you have TI. TI likes to discuss things. TI likes to have conversations with a critical dimension. You have NE that's all about seeking opportunities and possibilities in the outside world and bumping ideas against each other, bouncing them off, and having people involved at least in some sort of manner. But once you engage with an INTP for a long period of time, you start realizing that they're never really changing their mind. They are changing their mind. I'm not trying to say that INTPs are not capable of changing their mind. They very much are, but it is on their terms, at their own pace, once they have scrutinized all different possibilities, and it always has to be very clearly delineated and demarcated as their decision. So it will never be a case of an INTP hearing your argument and being like, okay, I'm changing my mind, you're right. It'd be more a case of them looking as usual, unimpressed, or dismissing your arguments through logical fallacies that they are very much capable of. In fact, because their TI is so developed, they have an affinity with the use of fallacies because it's a language they speak, so the temptation is stronger than for someone who's not familiar with logic in an almost organic sense. So, you know, they will not admit that you're right on the spot. Sometimes you clearly are. I have been right with INTPs and they have not admitted it. But then, surprise, surprise, a few months later, it turns out that their framework has been updated, but on their terms, in their words. And so my contribution is never really acknowledged. And finally, a third trait that is annoying and bothersome about INTPs is that they are, for lack of a better word, and I know this is going to sound a little bit shocking, but they can come across as lazy. Oh yeah, they can come across as lazy. Now, that's up to them, and to be honest, a lot of people are lazy who are not INTPs, and we are lazy about different things. You know, for me, personally, like there are things, especially like sensory things, practical things, administrative things, is really in relation to which, like, I think it'd be fair to say I'm very lazy. So I'm not one to judge, but because this is an unfair and prejudiced video, I'm one to judge, because, you know, who cares about contradiction in a video like this? And so what I want to say is that this laziness is frustrating, because sometimes you can sense that the INTP is smart and has a lot of potential, and more specifically, maybe a vast amount of stored knowledge, perhaps in conjunction with being an Enneagram 5 a lot of the time, whose apparent main flaw or sin is avarice, the withholding of information. They're not putting it out there, sometimes pretending that it's hard to explain because maybe the brain is so complicated in their case that language does not suffice as an instrument to express that depth. In any case, they don't share it. So it's almost like they don't actually get into the ring to defend their ideas in Wittgensteinian fashion. They just mess around and have fun and shitpost, and in the meantime, they don't grace us with the deep insights of their knowledge. We can sense they're smart, but they don't necessarily want to show it. They don't care. They don't feel like they have to show it. But I want it to, you know, be given access. I want to have access to it. I want to be able to, you know, okay, let's have an argument. Show me your points. Let me, you know, use my NI to kind of point out maybe certain weaknesses. If an INTP is in a particular mood, maybe that could happen. But it might as well not happen for 365 days or maybe twice that amount. And that annoys me because I feel like sometimes their potential is not completely exploited. But also my potential could have been more exploited if I had been allowed to be exposed to that knowledge and to react critically to it, because then I'd be able to update my own insights. And so it's a missed opportunity for both sides. And that, in a nutshell, guys, is my prejudiced account, my prejudiced and unfair view of INTPs. If you're an INTP, I hope you're not upset and that you appreciated that this was a disguised praise. And I hope to see you soon, guys, both INFJ, INTP, and everybody else. Ciao.